Hi, my name is Jason Wampler. I own a company called Wampler. We're a small aerospace engineering firm. However, today I'm your host for another installment of Dimestore Psychology. It's 10:04 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in Costa Mesa, California, and here we go. Probably about 3 or 4 days ago, I had unfortunately some confrontation with my next door neighbor who is a firefighter. And unfortunately, I've had some dealings with individuals or firefighters before. Um, they do tend to have an aggrandized view of themselves. They're not as humble as they should be. They think they are superior to other people, at least on a passive aggressive or a subconscious level. At least some of them do. This individual approached me. I figured out later with an attitude that he was better than me. I should bow to his command, bask in his glow, and do everything that he tells me to do because, my God, the man's magnificent. Well, here's the thing, folks. When you're dealing with an individual who's egotistical or thinks you're better than you have to just listen politely, but take the high ground. Don't lower yourself to his or her level, and try and prove to yourself how you two are equal or how you're better than him in other ways. And don't talk down to him. That'll only make a bad situation much worse. So, what you want to do is you want to listen politely, acknowledge his points, let him talk. But don't stand there and allow him or her to talk down to you or demean you, and don't let him get away uh, in the argument with thinking they can just push you around or that they are superior to. As the discussion between this next door neighbor and myself, who is a firefighter, as it progressed or actually degressed, it lasted about 5 minutes, and it was very aggravating and antagonizing for me. Caused my landlord to get involved because he took it upon himself to absolutely positively has to call my landlord because this is such an important issue. It was upsetting. It was over the matter of two of his trash cans on a public street, blocking a parking space that I needed because I got back from building rockets in Assange High School parking lot at about 1:30 in the morning. I needed a parking space, and I didn't feel like walking half a mile away or parking my vehicle half a mile away because parking in our neighborhood is a little bit limited. So what I did, I simply rolled his trash cans over to in front of his house on the public street, and that got him bent out of shape. I mean, it got him so bent out of shape, he absolutely positively had me let me know, how disrespectful and how awful and evil it was, and how I disrupted his family life. I injured his very delicate ego. He's just so magnificent compared to me. I should have just bowed down and just done exactly what he said. Maybe I should have trembled and learned how to stutter a little bit. Just be afraid of how magnificent and godlike he is. And of course, I disrespected his wife too because I have the fuselage of a rocket that's over 14 feet tall. It sticks out of the back of my pickup truck. It sticks out about 2 or 3 feet. So that's just absolutely just horrendously awful. That makes me such a bad, evil person because his wife almost ran into it because it's sticking out in front of their driveway, which is their property. So the whole situation was so blown out of proportion. I'm looking back on it now. I should have just started laughing and said, "Well, sir, you have yourself a nice day." Now, here's what you want to do, folks. You want to take the high ground, listen to it, and acknowledge. Politely and firmly explain your stand. Try to clear the discussion up. Don't lower yourself to their level. Don't get personal. Don't use profanity. Never use profanity because the F word and the S word. The reason I think those words are banned by the FCC on public television, cable access television, because they incite anger. They get people very angry. So when two people are arguing, they start F this and S that, and you're a piece of S and S and so forth. That's when the argument hops up and can go from verbal to physical. So those words cause anger. So what bothered me is I let him get my goat because I wasn't prepared for it. And this is the first time we talked. And I'm like, what's this guy's problem? It's a couple of trash cans and maybe a 2-foot section of 4-inch ABS pipe sticking out of the back of my truck. How in the world is this a life-altering, life-threatening event. Who is his wife, and why in the world would I care about what her feelings were? I don't like her. I don't know her. And if she's not peculiar, she can smell a rat fart from a mile away. She get disturbed by the smell of paint. When she's flying, she's on an aircraft flying away from an airport, or she just doesn't like the color of the sky, and it's just going to ruin her day. A woman like that, I steer very far clear of. There's a lot of them. That's why I haven't gotten married yet. I probably have to go to another country to find a real woman and get married to her first. Ladies, I don't mean to talk down to you, because a lot of the women in this country, most of them are good people. I just seem to have attracted all the bad women in the past. I don't want to talk about my love life. Here's the thing, though. I stood my ground. I was perturbed. I kind of lowered myself to his level, and that was a mistake. But I stood my ground. I was firm and polite. I said, "Sir, I'm busy. This discussion serves no further purpose. I'm not going to talk to you anymore." All right. And I turned around and I ceased discussing it with him, because, the wise old saying says, before a quarrel takes forth, but before a quarrel takes place, take your leave. The people can't do anything about continuing to try and argue with you and escalate the fight if you turn around and just leave. Like, "I'm sorry, sir. I've stated my point. I don't agree with you. I think you're being unreasonable. This conversation serves no further purpose. I'm not going to deal with you because I have other things to get on to," and just turn around and leave. They're not going to chase after you unless they're absolutely nuts and psychotic and have evil intent to try and assault or kill you. So maybe if you feel that is a pending outcome, turn around and watch them as you're walking away. Make sure they aren't following you. If they are, then call the police, because your life can be threatened. But, the point is, you take your leave before a quarrel breaks forth, and nothing happens. And they get incredibly frustrated. But you know what? Now you're not only saying that you're better than them, you're showing you're better than them. And it pisses them off. So I did that to my next door neighbor fireman, and it pissed him off. You effing piece of crap, you little piece of twerp, effing shit, and like that, I'm mumbling under his breath. He turned on, and he was frustrated as hell. So technically speaking, I won the argument. Let me change that. I won the debate. So, folks, again, dealing with people who are incredibly difficult, who just petulize over the most minuscule things, like a couple of trash cans in a parking space on a public street at 1:30 in the morning, a 2-foot section of black ABS 4-inch diameter pipe sticking out of the back of my truck. These people, they just, it almost seems like they want conflict in life. So just put them in their place. Don't argue with them. Don't lower yourself to their level. Be kind, be polite, but be firm. Because if you give in too much, they're going to think it's okay, so they're going to keep coming after you. They're going to keep coming after you and bullying you till you put them in their damn place. Shut up. I've acknowledged you. I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I'm walking away. Now, when my landlord got involved, his name is Alex. Alex is a good person. He talked with him. He kind of mulled things over with a neighbor, and I said, "Alex, I'm so sorry," because I know Alex is dealing with a lot of difficult personalities in his household and the neighborhood, and it's tough living in a single-family dwelling neighborhood. But I apologized to him profusely, and we came up with a solution. I said, "I'm just not going to park in front of this next-door neighbor's house or near his driveway." And it's no skin off my back. I kind of first kind of hurt my pride, because it's public street. Well, Jason Wampus should be able to park anywhere. But no, I'm like, I just give him that much. I mean, mostly I'm doing it not because of the firefighter neighbor, because I really couldn't care less about him or his wife. I mean, I'd help them if their house was burning or they needed help. But I can love people, but I don't have to like them, as the saying goes. But most I'm concerned about keeping the peace with my landlord, Alex. He's a good person. He's an excellent father, and he's managing the house. He doesn't need any more stress. And he doesn't need any more gumption from me either. So that's pretty much that on that subject. So, when you're confronting someone, just take the high ground and, just write them off and try to listen, be patient, be logical. Now, here's the thing. Here's the other thing that I figured out after only 51 years of age, after only 51 years of being alive, I figured something out. I don't believe that human beings are meant to live in tight, compact spaces. I don't believe that human beings are supposed to live stacked one on top of the other. I don't believe that people are meant to live right next door to somebody else. Your domestic circumstances are different. Your domestic surroundings, your domestic hygiene, your bathroom, your family, your television, your kitchen, your living room, your bedroom, everything should be secluded and it should be private. People need their space, number one, and people need their privacy. And men or women, single parents or married, somebody has to be the head of the family. He has to be able to run his family successfully, and he can't be living within 5 feet of the next house. That's too close. Human beings aren't meant to live together. Entire families aren't meant to live that close. Tight-knit communities are one thing, but the problem is community means family, and family is a 4-letter word. Families fight. So, a husband and a wife, or husband and husband, or a wife and wife plus some children, that's a family. Grandparents are sanity, but there's a term called extended family. It means they're over there, they're out there. They're not living in the same house with you. Now you have different generations, different value sets, different experiences you can benefit from. But, when 2 people or 3 or 4 or 5 or 9 people live together, the ugliness comes out in the wash because nobody's perfect. So people are going to step on other people's coattails, and there are going to be fights that break forth and misunderstandings. Lots of fights and lots of apologies. After all, again, family is a 4-letter word. So, but I don't believe that people were meant to live that closely together. If families need to be in single family unit dwellings, and there needs to be, I know this sounds crazy, but it needs to be at least 50 to 100 feet of space between your house and the next one, if not more. And even then, you're still going to have crazy neighbors. And they're going to think of you as a crazy neighbor, so people are going to fight. But the more space people have in a neighborhood or community, the more easier it is to get along. I notice in small rural towns, it's just different. Slower pace of life, lower cost of living, a lot of space, cheap property, cheap rent, and people just tend to get along better. Just give people their space, slow the pace of life down, stop charging them so much for rent and then gas and food. I mean, a 5-cent block of butter shouldn't cost $5. So life is getting, expensive. But I'm just saying, when people have to deal with the high cost of living, neighbors living next door only 5 feet away, you could reach out your bathroom window and knock on your neighbor's bathroom window and knock on your neighbor's front door. That's not right. And then with this COVID-19 hysterical breakdown and then mind control efforts and everything, now people are just boiling over. They've had it. Everybody's just had so much to deal with, they're just exploding. They're losing it. People can only take so much pressure. So the thumb screws, there's too many thumb screws going in, and people are now just going nuts. They're losing their minds. Mental health issues are on the rise. Substance abuse and alcoholism is on the rise. That's never good. So anyway, I'm not jumping from subject to subject so much as I'm segueing, but we are at the 13-minute mark, so that I've gone over time again. I'm going to conclude and just say hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If I get 1,000 subscriptions or 1,000 likes, I get to monetize the site and I get to start making money. So my name is Jason Wampler. I'm your host. This is another installment of Dimestore Psychology. It is now 10:18 a.m. on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Saturday. I'm slurring my speech. Saturday, February the 8th. So anyway, you guys take care. Have a nice day. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.